Hi and welcome to another edition of OnsideSA. Budge and I are going to run you things happening in different countries. MLS?
MLS is the main league that we're covering, and obviously Sweden because of the Soccer 13s and all that, Paul. So those are the two main leagues we'll cover. But,
okay, shall we get Stevie on board?
Yeah, I'm sure Stevie's been Swedish meatballs on the line. So
sure, I wouldn't call it that.
Steve, Premiership transfers. Good morning. First things first, yeah?
Yeah, good morning, Bud. Morning, Paul.
Morning, Steve.
Before we get on to the Tottenham, because I know Paul is chafing at the bit here, one deal that amazed me, chaffing, is Calvin Phillips went to Man City. To me, I think it's a bad move for him as a player. I don't think he's going to play in the team too often. What do you think?
Well, it's interesting because the talk was that they brought him in as a replacement for Fernandinho because obviously he's sort of retired. Whether he will play or not, I don't know. He obviously feels that he will because he needs to cement a place because he wants to be in Gareth Southgate's starting 11 in the World Cup. Yeah. If he isn't playing for City, then I think that would be difficult. I mean, the fee, because his contract hasn't got that long left, the fee is not extortionate. But he made it quite clear that he'd been at Leeds all his career and he wanted a challenge. So, whether or not, I don't think he doesn't look like a Pep sort of player, but Pep obviously liked what he's seen and he's gone out and got it about 45 million.
Yeah, I think it's a good price, but to me, Man City need English players, and if Sterling's going to go, they've got to replace him. And I think he's gone to the wrong side of Manchester. I know Leeds United, Man United, the bitterness between the fans, but for his career, I think it's a terrible move.
Where is Sterling going to?
Sterling,
they're talking about
Chelsea.
Chelsea after Sterling, and again, that would be a surprise to me that City would let him go because. I mean, he hasn't let City down. I mean, he's scored a lot of goals in the last 2 or 3 seasons for them. Still playing for England. It's a
strange call.
It seems a strange call to me.
Yeah, I don't think it is, Steve, for the simple reason Haaland's going to start, De Bruyne's going to start, Mahrez is going to start, Rodri and another. There's only one spot, so you've got him. You've got the guy with the shorts always, his socks always down, the guy they bought from Aston Villa. Someone's going to play on the left, Jack Grealish. Now, there's not many spots, and he never played last year when they never played with a centre forward. They plays with a false 9. I think he's got to jump ship, Sterling, to save his career. Otherwise, he's going to be another Englishman sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
But
I think you could be right. So,
but
I think he's quite happy to come back to London. Obviously, he's a London boy.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably a good move for him. Again, I can't see Chelsea playing with a false 9 necessarily, but let's see whether they go out and replace Lukaku with sort of more like for like as well.
Yeah. Now, Gabriel Jesus, is it confirmed that he's gone to Arsenal?
I think it will be by tomorrow, by the sounds of it. So, and again, interesting move. I mean, he obviously felt that he wasn't going to, now that Haaland's come, he wasn't going to start necessarily. And maybe probably a good move for Arsenal. He knows where the goal is.
Yeah,
if he gets the service, he'll score goals for them.
Yeah, I think it's the latest one. Now, the latest on Rafinha. I see everybody, Barcelona wants him. I heard Newcastle are trying to hijack the deal. Chelsea are in big time. What's the latest in the UK, Steve?
Well, it seems like Chelsea have come in sort of, I'd say, quite late, and makes you wonder whether or not he'd be tempted by that. They're looking at I don't think Barcelona now are in the running necessarily, because I think Chelsea have come in with a much higher bid than they're prepared to or can afford to pay. So, it depends what he fancies, but obviously if he wants Champions League football, Chelsea could well be the place for him. It seems like the new owners want to sort of spend some cash fairly quickly, and probably a good move for him. Worrying for Leeds though, if they're losing both Calvin Phillips and Rafinha.
Yeah. What amazes me, why would Chelsea want Sterling and Rafinha? When you have a look, they've got Ziyech, they've got Werner, they've got Mount, they've got a million players. They've got the American captain.
What I understand is they're not averse to letting Ziyech go and Werner. Both are, could well be surplus requirements. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if they brought in Sterling and Rafinha that Werner and CH will both leave.
Okay, now the Richarlison, Paul, what's the latest on Spurs? I know you're chafing on the bit.
Champing. The latest with, let me just get it out here, is...
Are you signing that madman?
Yeah, 86 million.
86 million?
Yeah, and Gordon.
Flash Gordon, the youngster.
Flash Gordon, they're pushing hard. It looks like it could be done.
Okay.
Bergwijn sold.
Okay.
Bergwijn sold.
Who did he go to?
I don't know. It's just the headlines here. Richarlison signs, Bergwijn sold. Conte getting a dream attack. That's what they like to say. Yeah.
I mean, the one thing. I mean, that's a good move, but Everton really don't want to lose Anthony Gordon. I mean, he's a young star, and I think Everton fans would be pretty dismayed. Not necessarily losing Richarlison, I think they wouldn't be happy with that, but to lose Anthony Gordon, who is obviously one of their star academy players coming through, I think that doesn't bode well for them. Bearing in mind that the season they had last season, they're losing two of their best players, would be a great move for Tottenham. Whether Gordon would start, I don't know.
He won't start.
You look at the Tottenham sort of forward line.
Getting big,
but again, be a good move for Gordon. But whether he's on the fringes of an England place just now, but he's not far adrift. So he needs to be playing somewhere.
Yeah, I agree.
Steve, what is the story with Yves Bissouma cleared of sexual assault allegations? New Tottenham signing Yves Bissouma cleared of sexual assault allegations.
Yeah, I saw that. There didn't seem to. There's nothing really much in the press here about it.
Yes.
In all honesty, so I don't think we're not looking at the sort of the Mason Greenwood sort of type scenario here. So I think it seems to be something that's just come out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
But I don't think that should cause an issue.
Yeah, I see he has been released. Sorry, Steve.
Looks like Tottenham want to do all their business. I should say, it looks like Tottenham want to do their business early. Most clubs want to do that because I think the key for a lot of teams is they get their big signings out the way early, and they have a pre-season and they can hit the ground running. And I think that the way Tottenham have gone about it, it's a blueprint for a lot of teams.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah. Frankie de Jong reports you'll sign by the weekend.
Who is United?
Sounds like it. It's a lot of money. It's big. It's also a bit of a gamble, but obviously Ten Hag knows him. He's obviously trying to attract players who he's either managed or knows who have played in Holland. But United need a huge clear out and more than one or two players. So this is I think they put. If the rumours are right and they don't have the biggest budget available, they're putting a big chunk of it into this one player. Yeah.
Thing is he starts for Holland. He's a good player. When Ajax had their run, he was the brains behind it. He wasn't suited to Barcelona, and they've got Gavi and Pedri and Busquets. So yes, surplus. So I know he wants to stay, and I wouldn't blame him. But you get a good lot of money come to United, and to me, a lot of United guys, supporters, are giving me abuse about this. I said,
Who's gone? Pogba?
Pogba's gone. Matic. And there's, who was it? Lingard.
Jones?
No, Jones is still there. He was training. But he's on a one-year contract. And I said to the boys about United, I said, if you had Thiago and Fabinho at Man United, do you think there'd be an improvement in the team? And there's no doubt. I said, you take Chelsea's two midfield, Man City's two, even Spurs' two midfield players are better than United. So that's it's to me, we do need a lot of players, but get two quality midfield players and you'll see a massive upturn.
Yeah.
What about Rafinha?
Rafinha to Chelsea, Steve. Barca, I know
Chelsea, I believe, are doing the deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just talked about it, but I don't think Barcelona haven't got the money. They've got to sell players, they've got to raise money. The Spanish teams can't compete with the Premier League for the big names at the moment. I mean, obviously teams like Real Madrid, they have it's a brand and they can attract players, but it's very difficult for them. For either them or Barcelona to compete with the sort of wages and the fees that Premier League teams and the money that's available here. So, they're not going to be signing sort of a number of big names at this moment in time, I don't think.
Steve, one signing I think is going to have great value, especially in Newcastle. Nick Pope from Burnley. I think he's the best English goalkeeper. I think this is a great signing.
I mean, it is, and not crap money. And he's a young goalkeeper with many years ahead of him.
Yeah.
So at one time they said Fulham were linked with it, but I didn't think it was going to come to us. But Newcastle again, buying some sort of good young players. I mean, it looks like they've just done a deal to sign that Sven Botman.
Okay.
So they're not spending a fortune on one player. They're bringing in they're building a squad. And I think they're going to be in a reasonable position, in a good place this year.
It looks like they're trying to do a Leicester, good value for money players coming from Leicester clubs. So I think they'll definitely be a top 10 club this year. Top 8, you never know, but the way they finished.
All right, what's
Steve,
happening in MLS?
Onto the punting side, Steve.
We're on a punt, Steve.
Our viewers, we kick off. For us it's Sunday night, but I think it'll be Saturday evening for you. The odds, we got them up. Toronto at home to Seattle. How do you see it?
Yeah, Seattle have had a decent run recently, but then they came unstuck last night.
Yeah,
they lost at home. I think that if there was to be a winner, I'd fancy Seattle of the two.
Yeah, they also got beat last night, lost 2-1 at home to Columbus. But I looked at both teams to score there, 5.5 to 10. I thought it was a bit cramped.
How many Canadian teams?
Toronto, Montreal,
Vancouver.
I think that's all, only three.
Yeah.
Now, talking of Vancouver, great home record, Steve, unbeaten in 5, but they're playing against the best team in the MLS, Los Angeles, who won 3-1 last night. Have they got any chance?
Well, they had a draw with New England night before last. But LAFC are the best team in the Western Conference, probably the best team in the two conferences at the moment. And obviously, they've got Gareth Bale going there very shortly. So we'll only make them stronger. I think if there was to be a winner, it's going to be LAFC. I mean, they had a big win last night at home. It wasn't easy, but they won comfortably in the end. I think Vancouver would do really well to hold them, but I fancy LAFC to win. Yeah,
talking of Bale, I watched the Los Angeles game on Sunday night. They played New York Red Bulls. Now, Carlos Vela's been their star. He's the main Mexican. Now, his contract's up for grabs. So they don't know whether they're going to let him go because Bale's coming in or whether they're going to keep him. So that'll be interesting to see. Steve, the next game, I think the best bet of the weekend in the States, New York City against an Atlanta team, woeful away from home. Do you agree?
Yeah, it should be New York City should be winning that. I mean, they were involved in a high-scoring game last night. 4-4, but I think they should be too strong for Atlanta, definitely. Yeah,
6-10 certainty, 15-10 to win by more than one goal. That's our play. Columbus, who lost 2-1. Sorry, who beat Toronto 2-1 away last night against a team that was top of the league that got beat by Chicago 1-0 Philadelphia. They did have a player sent off, but how do you see that going?
Yeah, I mean, that was a shock result last night, and they had a player off, but it was late in the game.
Yeah.
Certainly the form book was turned upside down. I think if before last night, I probably would have thought Philadelphia, but they might be smarting a bit after that. So I think that Philadelphia probably still start as favourites. Yeah. But I think it's going to be a bit closer than maybe we thought.
Yeah, it's 21-10 Philadelphia. I thought that was a big price, but the away teams always struggle in the US. Now, New England, Steve, as you say, unbeaten in the last 9 league games and unbeaten at 6 at home against the Cincinnati team. Everybody always underrates them. One loss in the last 6 away from home. I think they got this bad. Win and draw Cincinnati, Steve. I think it's a great price, 2-1. How do you see it?
Yeah, I think you're right. It is a good price. Although, as you say, New England are unbeaten in quite a few. Yeah. It looks like it's got draw written all over it. Yeah. In all honesty, it's hard to pick between them. They're both doing okay. They're not at the top, but they're both having a decent season. So for me, I think if there was to be a draw of some of these games, that's looking like it. Likely.
No, I agree. 4-4 at home with New York City, who best team in the Eastern Conference. Steve, on to the next page. We've got Minnesota against Real Salt Lake. Real Salt Lake going well at home, but away from home, really struggling. Minnesota, I watched them this morning. They were 3-0 up against the LA Galaxy, who had a player sent off in the 25th minute. They were hanging on for dear life. I can't believe they're 12-10 at home. How do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, like look, Real Salt Lake overall are having a really good season. I mean, they're higher near the top of the Western Conference. So, for me, I think if there was to be a winner, for me, I think they would start as favourites. But as you say, a lot of these teams don't travel well. I think part of the issue is, we forget here is that they're travelling all over the country. This is not just getting on a team bus for a couple of hours. They've got
they're flying.
They're travelling a couple of 2,000 or 3,000 miles to play a game.
Yeah.
So but I think Real Salt Lake for me would be favourites of the two.
Yeah. Now, Sporting Kansas City. I've seen them play. I watched New York Red Bulls against Los Angeles. They gave them a good game. They did get beat comfortably in the end. I think they got the betting right, but 15-10, Steve. I'm going to have a nibble on that. How do you see it?
New York
Red Bulls, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Sporting Kansas is not having a particularly good season. I think Red Bulls should probably rightly start as favourites for me. So I think if there was to be a winner, I'd go with the Red Bulls.
Yeah, I must say 15-10, I thought was a great price. Now, Houston at home, they got beat again last night, Houston, against a Charlotte team who've played 9 away games, drawn 2 and lost 7. How do you see it?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I think their away record speaks for itself. I mean, I think even though Houston are not having a good season, I think Charlotte have got as bad an away record as anybody in both conferences. So I think if there was to be a winner, you'd probably go for Houston.
Yeah, I agree. Now, Nashville versus Portland. Nashville got beat in the Cup last night, while Portland won. I fancied them on the weekend, and they won. Steve, this has got goals written all over it, but if you had to side with which team, who would you go for?
Well, I'd probably go with Nashville, although Portland has just picked up a little bit.
Yeah.
And, as I say, won last night. I think Nashville probably still starts as favourites, though, in my book.
Yeah, now the worst two teams in both conferences meet in San Jose. Yeah. 11-10. Steve, you're going to laugh. It's my best bet in the MLS this weekend at a price. Chicago, I watched them the other day. They are woeful. 6 defeats in the last 7 away from home. Do you agree with me on San Jose?
It's a lot.
Well, I think you're right, although, Chicago, they must have found some form last night to beat Philadelphia. I mean, that was a huge shock. Philadelphia had only lost once all season. But as you say, Chicago don't travel well. So if there was to be a winner, probably would go with San Jose.
Yeah, I thought that was a great price. Now, our last page, Steve, we've got Orlando City, who've climbed up to 5th place in the Eastern Conference against DC United, Wayne Rooney's old team, who are struggling. 9-10, a good price?
Yeah, I think so. I make them favourites. They had a bit of an up and down season, but they are relatively strong at home, and I think that they should be too strong for DC.
Okay, interesting clash. Colorado Rapids against Austin. I can't believe Austin are 3-1. They're 3rd in the league as opposed to 12th with Colorado. How do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, I saw that. I was surprised by that. And for me, I would make Austin favourites. So, I think Austin will probably be one of the valued teams of the week if they win that.
Yeah, even money, win and draw, Austin. Dallas, who I was all over, they got beat 3-1 by Los Angeles last night against an Inter Miami team who are going well, but away from home, lost 3 of the last 4. You were the home team, Steve?
I think so. I mean, the sounds of it, I just sort of read the report. Dallas put up a good fight. It's only sort of relatively late goals that they lost to. Inter Miami, you're not sure what you're going to get from them. They got 1 or 2, big names there, and you'd think they should be doing a little better than they are. But as you say, away from home, they don't travel that well. So I think Dallas should start as favourites. Yeah,
and last but not least, LA Galaxy, got beat 3-2 at home. Couple of players sent off against Montreal, who I can't believe have climbed to the top of the Eastern standings. Surely this is a great chance for LA Galaxy to rebound.
You'd say that, but I mean, obviously, a couple of players sent off, so they won't be available. I mean, Montreal, top of they're top for a reason. They've had decent result yesterday. Yeah. I mean, 3-1 is a really good price for when you're top of the table away from home against a team that have just lost. But I think again, Galaxy are strong at home, and I know they lost last night, but you saw it. You said they finished strongly. To me, it's the sort of game that Galaxy could rebound back or maybe hold them at the very least.
Yeah, I just couldn't believe they were 3-0 down and it was one-way traffic. Chicharito, you just can't score that guy. But anyway, what can we do? Steve, there's a Swedish league we've introduced purely because of Soccer 13's big pools with us. So our first game is on Friday night. It's GIF Sonsville against Malmo. Now Malmo obviously one of the top dogs, and they play in the Champions League on Wednesday against the Icelandic team Vikingur Reykjavik. It was very nice of the league to put it on Friday, give them an extra day's break. Should they be too good?
I would think so. I mean, their opponents are struggling. They're close to the bottom. I think Malmo, it's not a very attractive price, but I think they'll be too strong.
Yeah, I think there'll be goals in that as well. Now, ARK Stockholm, who we mentioned earlier, is 38-year-old captain Seb Larsen from Sunderland. Against them, Jalby team, lost 3 of the last 4 away from home. Home banker?
I would think so. AIK are doing well. They're obviously one of the top teams in Sweden. In the top 2, I think they'll win that.
Yeah, Helsingborg, Kalmar. Steve, how do you see it?
Well, Helsingborg are having a terrible season, and Kalmar, in the top half. I think that's for me. I think if there was to be an away banker, I think that would be one.
Yeah, as you say, like 2 points from the last 8 league games, hard to be confident. Now, Djurgårdens Hammarby, that's 3rd against 4th. I'm all over Djurgårdens. They've won 5 and drawn 1 of the last 6 at home. I know Hammarby are going well. I'm chancing the home team. What's your call?
Yeah, I think because of their home record, I think it's probably right to do that. So if there was to be a winner, I would go with the home side.
Yeah, on to our second page, Steve. We've got Varberg's Bois versus IFK Vanamo. 2 struggling teams. I think the draw is great value at 22-10. How do you see it?
Yeah, well, there's not much in it. They're both, I think there's like one place apart, sort of in the middle to lower part of the table. So draw's probably not a bad call there. It could go either way, in all honesty.
Yeah, I agree. Now, BK Häcken at 14-10. They're top of the league. They've won 5 of the last 6. Even though Elfsborg are going well, they've only lost 1 of the last 7. I fancy Häcken to get a result, Steve. How do you see it?
Yeah, I do. I mean, Häcken are top for a reason. Won their last few. I think that's a very generous price for a team who was top of the table, won their last 4 in a row. Yeah. So for me, I think Häcken definitely favourites. Okay, our last game on Sunday's IFK Norrköping against, I don't know if it's pronounced Sirius or Sirius. 5-10, Steve. Yeah, I mean, when you look at the league table,
there's nothing between them.
There isn't that much between them. So to make them to make Sirius 5-1. Yeah. I think that would be as an outside value bet. I think that would be a good call. Yeah. The only thing is they've lost 5 of the last 8, and Norrköping only lost 1 of the last 7. But I agree, the price is a little bit distorted. And last but not least, Monday night, IFK Gothenburg versus Degerfors. How do you see it? Yeah, I think Gothenburg probably be a little bit too strong. Yeah. I totally agree. Think so. Yeah, Degerfors lost 4 of the last 5 away from home, so got to side with the home team. Steve, putting you under pressure again. Who's your banker and your best value bet? My banker, I'm going to go for Kalmar. I think that having a reasonable season, but they're up against a team who are having a shocking time. No doubt. My value bet, I'm going to go for Austin. Yeah, I think at 3-1. Austin. They're going well. I think that would be a reasonable value bet if that came in. Yeah, I agree. Totally agree on the betting. It's amazing how the away sides have no respect to the MLS unless it's a local derby. But Steve, tomorrow, big day. Is it the first tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow there'll be quite a few. I imagine a lot of the ones that we've been talking about could well complete tomorrow. And if they've already had their medicals and everything is subject to clearance, because obviously, as we know, a lot of the players are out of contract today from tonight. So I think there will be movements, and then I think there'll be a bit of a lull. And I think it will build up. We never understand why, but it's always goes to the last few hours on the last day. So we've got 2 months still. There's going to be a lot going to happen. But I think there'll be a flurry of activity tomorrow, and then it'll sort of, then it'll just all start to, But it's like a domino effect. You need 1 or 2 of the big ones to happen, and then obviously then teams get the money, they get the cash, and they can start buying. So,
well, let's hope your Fulham boys.
Well, they've got, evidently, I understand there's 2 or 3 lined up in the next 48 hours, so we'll see. So
okay. Stevie B, thanks again, Steve.
Pleasure. All
the best, Stevie.
Bye.
Thank you.
Cheers, pal. Right, but let's go on to
Let's
these
go on to
soccer
the
things.
exotics, yeah. Paul.
Right, now,
Pumalela exotics this weekend.
Yeah, some tough ones.
Yeah, Paul, not easy. We kick off with the Soccer 6 on Saturday. I'm banking ARK to beat Mjolby. I'm going the field in the HJK Helsinki KUPS game. I don't see Haugesund losing at FK Verve. I'm going KO Reykjavik and Vikingur Reykjavik, the field. I'm banking Bodo Glimt to beat Oddball Club. And I don't see Sligo Rovers losing at home to Shelbourne.
Oddball Club.
1-6. On to our second Soccer 6 is Brazil-American. I'm going Fluminense to avoid defeat against Corinthians. I don't see Ceará losing at home to Internacional. Likewise, Flamengo. I don't see them losing at Santos. I think Seattle Sounders will avoid defeat at Toronto. I'm banking Palmeiras to be too good for Atletico Paranaense. And I don't see Los Angeles FC losing at Vancouver Whitecaps, 192. On to our Soccer 10. I'm going Fluminense, win and draw against Corinthians. Atletico Mineiro to avoid defeat at Juventude. I'm banking Godoy Cruz to be too good for CA Cologne. I don't see Atletico Tucumán losing to Vélez Sarsfield. I'm going Ceará, win and draw at home against Internacional. Our second page sees us go for Flamengo to avoid defeat at Santos. I'm going for Gimnasia La Plata to be too good for Defensa wa Justicia. I'm going Toronto, win and draw at home against Seattle Sounders. Banking Palmeiras to beat Atletico Paranaense. And Los Angeles to avoid defeat against Vancouver Whitecaps, 256. On to the Soccer 13, which is licorice all sorts.
Impossible.
I'm going Kalmar to avoid defeat against Helsingborg. I'm going Osters to be too good for Skövde, as well as Friska Viljor to beat Hudiksvall.
Phil George.
Hammarby TFF to avoid defeat against Hudinga. Eskilsmina to avoid defeat against Hasselholms. Signing with another away team to avoid defeat. Vasselons at Carlsberg. Then Koppings, win and draw at Trosse Vornharad. On to the second page. I'm going Oosterrijke, win and draw against Solentuda. And a slew of bankers. Bodo Glimt to beat Oddball Club. Djurgårdens to beat Hammarby. Häcken to beat Elfsborg. And Norrköping to beat Sirius. And ending up with Varberg's Bois, win and draw at home against IFK Bonamo. 256.
Right, Budge's best
Budgie's bets. Licorice short sort. Paul, plenty of leagues, so we've got to take a chance. I'm going New York City and San Jose to both win by more than one goal. New York City against Atlanta and San Jose against Chicago. And I think Dallas will beat Inter Miami, 2,600 to 200.
That sounds
On
good.
to the Sweden, I'm going ARK Stockholm to beat Mjolby and both teams to score. I think Djurgården will be too strong for Hammarby, and I'm going both teams to score in the Helsingborg-Palma clash, 2,900 to 200. On to Norway, I'm going Bodo Glimt and Molde to win, Bodo Glimt to beat Oddball Club, and Molde to beat HamKam. And I'm going Sandy Fjord and Stramgodset, both with a one-goal start, or win or draw, 2,600 to 200. On to Brazil, I'm going Coritiba to beat Fortaleza, Palmeiras to beat Atletico Paranaense, and both teams to score in the Avaí Cuiabá. Atletico Gio versus Sao Paulo fixture, 2,700 to 200. Over 2.5 goals, both teams to score sides are GIF Sundsvall and Malmo, Varberg's Bois versus IFK Bonamo, and Atletico Goianiense against Sao Paulo, 2,400 to 200. And our Collis King 6 or Nexa. I'm going New York City to beat Atlanta, San Jose to beat Chicago, Dallas to beat Inter Miami, ARK Stockholm to beat Mjolby, Bodo Glimt to beat Oddball Club, and Palmeiras to beat Atletico Paranaense. To 3,500 to 200.
Gee, it's tough, Budge?
Paul, it's just volume, it's just, and the worst thing is, there's games in midweek, so we make our bets on a Wednesday, and like sometimes the Wednesday night games and you get beat, so it's difficult, Paul, but we've got to try. What can we do?
Yeah, let's just talk British football for a moment. The transfer window opens.
Yeah, well, it is open now, Paul, but
does it close?
It closes, I think, just before this. Steve mentioned 2 months' time, so I think it's at the end of August.
Well, the season's on.
Yeah.
Now, the Community Shield, I think, is on the 6th.
No, I think it's
the
on
league
the
starts
26th, yeah.
26th, no.
I think it's at the end of July.
Yeah, end of July.
I think it's the 30th or
Yes,
31st, I think it's.
30th, because that one's the 6th.
Yeah, it's normally on a Sunday.
Of course, of course. So the Premier League starts on the 6th. Do the Championship still start a week before?
I
normally
don't think
do.
so. No, this Charity Shield's first. They normally start together.
Okay.
But the fixtures haven't. I think the fixtures have only just come out, Paul. So I
So
haven't
it's
really had a good
all
look.
start warming up now.
Yeah, it's all the signings now, Paul. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. Mm.
Okie dokie. So what were just let me get this right? All these talks of signings that it only gets sort of
Well, there's the
clarified
players.
now.
Well, those are the money deals, but
Yes.
all the deals where there's a lot of players, contracts expired.
Okay.
They can sign tomorrow.
Okay, got you. All right, that wraps our show. Until next time, stay on side.